Of all the apparent contradictions in the Gospels, I think the one that is most difficult is the issue about the staff, no staff. Jesus is commissioning the 12 to go out, and in Mark he says, take a staff, and in Luke and in Matthew he says, don't take a staff. At least that's what it appears to say. And I just finished a blog on this, and it got pretty detailed because there's a lot of things you have to look at. So I thought, well, maybe I should make a quick summary, and if you want more information, you can go to the longer blog. So, in Mark 6:8, Jesus says, take a staff, wear your sandals. Now, that just makes sense. The staff is just for walking. Sandals, or you don't ever go barefoot in that culture, especially when in the middle of the summer. So he says, yeah, wear your sandals and take a staff. That's all fine. Okay. You get down to Luke 10:4, though, and this is not the commissioning of the 12. It's the commissioning of the 72. But there's something about the phrasing in this Luke 10 passage that I think is really critical. In Luke 10, Jesus says, don't carry sandals. Now, why would you carry a sandal? You wear sandals. You don't carry sandals. Certainly, Jesus didn't expect them to go out barefooted and carry their sandals with them. And that just doesn't make any sense at all. But the fact that it's don't carry the sandals has to mean don't carry an extra set of sandals. Don't carry extra sandals with you. Trust that the ones you have are going to last. And when you think about what's going on in terms of the principles behind the commissioning, there's actually three. Number one is trust God. You don't need to bring in a bunch of extra stuff. Trust God to take care of you. Second of all, the worker is worthy of his wages. In other words, you don't need to bring a bunch of extra stuff because the people you're ministering to should house you and feed you. And there's also a third principle, and that is don't appear to be like one of those philosophers that goes around and all they're doing is begging for money because they want to get rich. So don't be like that. Well, you look at those three and you go, well, whether you have a staff or don't have a staff really doesn't have a whole lot to do with those three principles, does it? But the point is that in Luke 10:4, it's you don't carry extra sandals. Okay, you get down to Matthew 10:9, and in Matthew 10:9, Jesus says, don't get, either, and then this is a grouping of three things. The conjunctions make that clear. Don't get a second tunic or sandals or a staff. And what he seems to be concerned about is don't carry extra provisions. Don't have an extra tunic. And since he's already said they can have sandals, he has to be thinking about acquiring an extra set of sandals. And I think that carries in over to the staff. Don't get an extra staff. Don't acquire a staff. If it breaks or you lose it or whatever on the journey, don't worry about it. Don't get a second staff. So I think in Matthew 10:9, what you're really talking about is not having extra provisions, whether it's a tunic or sandals or a staff. That's pretty easy. You get down to Luke 9:3, though, and it very clearly says no staff. And so what do we do with Luke 9:3? Well, I think one of the rules in exegesis is it has to make sense. It just has to have some common sense to it. And again, why not have a staff at all? It doesn't violate the first three principles that Jesus is trying to clarify in this commissioning. I think what's going on is that the way Luke tells the story is he's just assuming the reader would understand what has been already said in the other synoptics, in Luke 10 and in Matthew 10, that what we're talking about is don't get an extra staff. Now, does it say extra? No. But the way to put all these things together in a believable harmonization is that Luke 9:3 is prohibiting, contextually, it's prohibiting don't bring an extra staff. If you want more of the argument, then please check out my playlist at youtube.com/Bill Mounts for the longer blog on this topic.